So let's start building something more exciting than just a simple calculator with this REPL thing. And the steps I show here are shown on Mac, but they are exactly the same on Windows. So what I want to do here is I want to get some input from the user, store that in a file, and then also open that file and read what we stored there and output it here in this command prompt. Now, to get input from the user, we can use a function Python ships with, the input function. And you will learn more about all the functions it ships with and what exactly is happening here throughout the course, of course. Input is a function you execute it by typing input and then two parentheses. Between the parentheses, you pass a so-called argument. That is something that function will use. And the input function is defined by Python, it's built in, to show you the text you're entering here. Make sure to use two quotation marks and then wait for the user to enter something. So here we could say, please enter your name, colon, and then a blank. And if I hit enter, you see it's outputting that text and waiting for me to input something. You can tell that it's waiting by the fact that there are no three greater than signs on the left. So I can type max here, and if I hit enter, it's outputting it below. That was the input it received. Now that's nice, but I want to store that in a file, right? Here we can use another concept, variables, something I'll also come back to in this course. And we can simply add a variable by typing any name you want, like name, but you could also type my_name, anything like that, and then an equal sign, and then input, please enter your name. What we're doing with that is we're getting the input, and then we're storing it in that variable so that we can use it later. If I now hit enter, I can again enter max, and now you don't see max as an output. Instead, now if I type my name here, so the name of that variable, now we see the output. This allows us to now use that value as often as we want. And now if we want to store it in a file, we can call another function Python ships with, the open function, which will open a file for us. Now, I'll store the result of that function in another variable named file. So file equals is whatever open returns to us. And now open needs two things. It needs to know which file to open and how to open it. Do you want to read? Do you want to write? So I will open a file which I'll name name.txt, and I'll set mode equal to W for write. And if that syntax is a bit unclear, well, just make sure to type it correctly here. You will learn what all these things are, two different arguments for one function throughout the course, no worries. But with that, we're basically telling Python to open that file and give us write access to it and store that address or that pointer to that file in that file variable. If I now hit enter, we can type file here, and this is this strange output, which essentially tells us that it somehow worked. And now we can say file dot write my name, and this tells Python to write the content of my name into that file. If we now hit enter, you can ignore that output. We can now close that file by calling file.close with parentheses. And if you do that, let's quickly navigate into that folder where you're executing your terminal or command prompt in the Finder or Windows Explorer. You can tell which path this is running in on Windows on the left side of your terminal. When you enter Python, there you should find the path it's currently running in. On Mac, it should simply be in your user's main folder. There you should find a name.txt, and if you open it, you should see the name you entered in there. Now, of course, we can do something cooler than just store the value there. We can also read it back into Python. We can use our file again and call open again, name.txt. Make sure to don't forget the quotation marks here. And now set the mode to R for read. If you now hit enter, you're opening that same file, but in read mode. And now you can call file read. And if you hit enter, it gives you the output of the file here. And that was a lot of new stuff, a lot of things where you might wonder what's happening here. And we'll learn all these things, no worries. But I hope this gave you a first impression of what you can do with Python and how you can Give your computer instructions to execute, which in turn allow you to write more complex programs, as you can use these instructions and way more other instructions and commands in any combination you want to build any kind of program you want. And we'll do this in this course. We'll build a blockchain. So what is a blockchain then?